Every statement that I'm going to make now about the Creta Electric is absolutely true, but each one of them has a caveat. The Creta Electric is brilliant. The Creta Electric is the best Creta you can buy today. The Creta Electric is a joy to drive. The Creta Electric is a great no-nonsense electric SUV that you can buy today. So, that sounds good. But what are the caveats? Well, the Creta Electric is more comfortable to be driven around in than any other Creta. But its backseat is not as good as the regular Creta. It's a difference that will be felt by taller occupants and on long drives. The Creta Electric is super easy to drive and it's properly quick. But it's not going to feel fun to drive for the enthusiasts. The Creta Electric has enough range, but it's not enough to push aside range anxiety, for which it needed a larger battery pack. But for most city users with the occasional highway drives, I would say, don't worry, and I'll explain why later. As for the brilliance of the Creta, that has been dampened by its price tag and the competition. But if you were looking to buy a no-nonsense electric vehicle that feels sophisticated, this Creta will feel satisfying. It's not just good enough, it's very good. When something is very good, you say it's very good and move on. When something is very bad, you say it's very bad and move on. But when something is just good enough, then you need explanations, like with the range of the Creta Electric. If we were talking about it a year or so ago, then this range would have been good. But today, our expectations are of a 400-kilometer range. And so, let me share some good news. The Creta Electric can do 400 kilometers on a charge, but not where you'd expect. In city conditions, its efficiency isn't at its best. That's where it'll manage 300 to 330 kilometers. But the good news in that is you'll never be too far from a public charger or from home. On expressways, when you're cruising at 100 kilometers an hour, the range will stretch to 350 kilometers. But it's in that in-between zone, the 40 to 80 kilometers, which can be on freeways in the city or on state highways, that's where it's at its most efficient. Much like the NMC versus LFP debate, this aspect of the Creta wouldn't stop me from buying one. But waiting for Hyundai to unlock the DC fast charging from 50 kilowatts to 100 kilowatts, well, that is a bit annoying. The Creta Electric will be annoying for its rivals, ICE or EVs, because this is a smooth operator. Everything it does is with smoothness. In bumper-to-bumper city traffic, in eco mode, it is smooth. When you want a bit more urgency, or when you're cruising on the highway for overtakes, the normal drive mode is smooth. Its regen system is also smooth. That single pedal drive mode is useful and natural to use. And even if you choose to not use it, you can use the paddle on the steering wheel to get regen, which is convenient and fun. And when you're in the fun zone, you'll realize that the sport mode of this electric is electric. It's a lot of performance. On a wet road, it can't even put it down properly from a standstill. Its steering is light and precise. It behaves well too. It's a competent car. But as with most electrics, the lack of sounds and sensations means that it doesn't really feel exciting. The Creta Electric doesn't have that fizziness. One thing the Creta Electric doesn't have, unlike the other Cretas, is lightness, courtesy that battery pack. When you combine that with tendency of regular Hyundais, the non-N lines, to have a bit of bounciness at the front or at the rear, it sounds like a recipe for disaster. Except this Creta suspension isn't just good enough, it's excellent. It's the kind that'll make you look at that patch of road in the city which every other vehicle is avoiding, and you'll roll right through it smoothly. It has that combination of ruggedness and plushness. It's not magic. You will feel the weight of the EV. Like when you're cruising on a highway and you ride through one of those ruts made by trucks, it will heave, but a bit. Either ways, this Hyundai Electric, its suspension setup is the best of any EV in this space. I know, a Hyundai, right? It's like the world has turned upside down. Before we go any further, if you think buying an electric vehicle would turn your life upside down, I would recommend getting to MotorInc Circles on the MotorInc app. Downloading the app is free, signing up on the app is free, and MotorInc Circles is free. It's a priceless place to meet with other people who are living with their electric vehicles and other vehicles. There are people who are deciding on whether to buy electric vehicles. There are people who have bought Creta Electrics as well. You can learn from them, you can ask them for advice, and then take a better decision. You'll know whether going EV is right for you or not, or whether it would really turn your life upside down. When you go from outside to in, the world inside the Creta hasn't turned upside down. It has been tweaked. There are some improvements, the most notable of which is the sound insulation. Use of the smaller 17-inch wheels instead of the 18s has helped lock in a more sophisticated and calm experience in the cabin. It feels calmer because of this lighter shade for the highlights that are used everywhere. It also has EV-specific tweaks like this console here, which offers more storage. It also has a more premium look because of the steering wheel with those chunky buttons that feel great to use. The screens are the same and as useful. The sound system I really like. But the lack of wireless smartphone connectivity and the lack of a USB-C port to manage that wired connectivity is frustrating. I had thought that the backseat would also be frustrating because of the raised floor. It would have taken one of the best backseats in the segment and ruined it. The good news is it has been ruined. The bad news is it has been compromised. Effectively, for me, an average-sized adult, it is still comfortable enough for city trips or for drives of 2-3 hours. For 6-footers, you won't have your head scrubbing against the roof or your knees bumping into the front seats. There is enough space there. But you will wish that you could push your feet further forward under the seats. It's cramped there now. And the under thigh support should have been better to make it a happier place for longer drives. But that's the compromise. But the Creta hasn't compromised on the other aspects like you would see in a regular Creta. It has the sunshades, rear aircon vents, USB-C ports. There's even a Boss mode for the front passenger seat, and this driver seat also gets a memory function, which is useful. The boot space is as useful as before, which means it isn't tall. So suitcases are best stacked flat so that you can pack in more. But the good thing is that it's not gotten worse despite going EV, and that's while having a proper full-size spare wheel under the floor there. The electric style quotient of this Creta is quite subdued. There's just that checkered finish low down all around. Other than that, it looks pretty regular. But there is one difference which I love: the color options. Like this sky blue that's finished in matte, it looks calm and mature, as does the white. But the one thing that might make you feel less calm is looking at that battery pack that sticks out from underneath. But trust me on this, it looks like a bigger problem than it is. It was only over the worst, most gigantic speed breaker when I drove carelessly did it touch down. It is SUV enough in this regard. The thing that I ended up thinking more about is that charging port in the nose, which is a convenient location if you're driving into public charges. You just drive right in. But at home, getting the charging box at the right spot or thinking about fender benders, well, that does make it feel like it could be a bit of a blow. Then there's the price, which is a big blow to the Creta's aspirations. It's because the competition is offering you so much more of space on one hand, of features on the other, and better VFM as well. It makes the Creta look premium. But that's also because the Creta is premium in the way it does stuff, the way it handles our roads, the way it deals with all the scenarios of traffic. It's a car that does everything with a touch of class. It's a car that will make some people hold back because of its range. The difference between 350 and 400 isn't just 50 kilometers. It's the difference between an inexperienced EV user choosing to be an EV user or not. If you can walk past that and live with the Creta Electric, I'm pretty sure you'll feel that this isn't just good, it's very good. Full stop. Surely, you still have questions about going electric and going electric with the Creta. As for the value equation of it, there are just two scenarios in which buying an electric today makes sense. The sensible option is buying it for the utility factor, which is applicable if you plan to clock a lot of kilometers, in which case the additional costs of buying an electric will be managed by the lower running costs, and any hit that you might have in terms of your resale at the end of it should be made up for with your heavy usage. On the other hand is the emotional side of it. If you're looking to buy an electric for the greatest satisfaction, then 100% you will get a richer driving experience. But that, you have to factor in, is a cost that you're paying for upfront. As for the decision about buying lower variants of the Creta Electric, with the smaller battery pack and the lesser power, the concern isn't the low power. The usability of those will still be solid, but the claimed range of the smaller battery pack is also down by 100 kilometers, which means for general city use, it will be fine. But if you can, stretch for the longer range version, because when you find a car that you really enjoy driving, you will end up using it more. At least I hope you find a car that will make you want to do that.